All right, Cancer, let's get to the extended version of your Hoodoo Tarot reading from today. Let's take a look at the cards that you pulled. Okay, you guys pulled Bishop C.H. Mason today, which is the Hierophant in this deck. The Bible verse is James 4:17. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is a sin. All right. The plant associated with this card is cedar and mustard. The image says this card combines Bishop Mason's iconic photo with an interpretation of what his spiritual baptism looked like. He said this about the moment that the Holy Spirit visited him. So when he had gotten me straight on my feet, there came a light which enveloped my entire being above the brightness of the sun. When I opened my mouth to say glory, a flame touched my tongue which ran down me. My language changed, and no word could I speak in my own language. Oh, I was filled with the glory of the Lord. My soul was then satisfied. These are his own words, all right? And it's from a book, The History and Life work of Elder C.H. Mason and his co-laborers. Bishop Charles Harrison Mason, born in 1866, died in 1961, was a Pentecostal holiness denominational leader and the founder and chief apostle and first senior bishop of the Church of God in Christ, known as the Kojic Church, based in Memphis, Tennessee. By the time of Mason's death, Kojic had more than 4,000 churches and 400,000 members in South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the United States. Today, Kojic has 65 million members and 12,000 congregations around the world. One of the most significant events in Bishop Mason's life was surviving yellow fever epidemic when he was 12 years old. His recovery was attributed to prayer. Bishop Mason's mother, Eliza, who was formerly enslaved, was known in the community as being very powerful and spiritually gifted. In the theology of Black American churches, the Holy Spirit was emphasized and petitioned to intercede in earthly matters more than in mainstream churches. Bishop Mason was dedicated to spreading the word of God, but he didn't think that women's voices should be suppressed by the church, nor did he believe that there was anything wrong with seeing the power in and utilizing roots. After all, rhabdomancy, which is divination by means of rod, wand, staff, stick, or arrow, was utilized by the patriarchs of the Bible. All right? Meaning, when you receive Bishop C.H. Mason in a reading, you are being asked to humble yourself and trust that the teachers, the guides, and elders of your community have this for you. This is no easy task in an age when no one wants to be told what to do, and authorities of all types are subjects of deep suspicion or outright hatred. This is especially true if said authorities are representative of so-called organized religions. While there is excellent reason to be skeptical of anyone attempting to usurp our agency, we should not allow paranoia to become so crystallized in our consciousness that we end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Bishop C.H. Mason represents conventional wisdom of any and all societal institutions, be they universities, places of worship, or corporations. Basically, this includes any place with rules, guidelines, rites, and rituals that must be adhered to in order to be considered officially a member of the community. The bishop also represents unspoken rules, and they are often just as important. For example, a person attending a heavy metal concert in well-fitted khakis, a button-down shirt, and a popped collar, and loafers would almost instantly be identified as being an outsider. It doesn't matter if the person in the preppy clothes knows the lyrics to every single song the band performs. So it is critical to understand that no matter how free-spirited the individuals at the concert consider themselves to be, a what the hell reaction to the preppy dresser is indicative of still being part of a system. The bishop asks that you recognize the importance of group cohesion, cooperation, submission, temperance, and conservatism regarding the matter at hand. This is most likely not the best time to do you. If you receive Bishop C.H. Mason in a reading, consider the following. Is conformity always good or bad? The nail that sticks out gets hammered down. What do you really believe in or have faith in? Go deeper and explore further. Do you see the value in your cultural heritage? Is what you considered orthodoxy or the proper way to do things actually orthodox, or is it improper to your community? It might be in your best interest to follow the rules at this time. Everyone is a disciple of something, but true discipline is rare. Are you sure that you understand the fine print? Join us. Could it be that what is expected of you is good for you? Be on time for the ritual. Get back in line. Teamwork makes the dream work. Follow the leader. And Simon Says. All right. Okay. Next, you guys had the Sun card. Where are you, Big Mama? There she is. Big Mama, aka the Sun card. It says, 2 Timothy 1:5. I am reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and now, I am sure, dwells in you as well. The plant is the sunflower. The image says, Big Mama is holding a plate of homemade cornbread with the sun shining brightly behind her. She wears a skeleton key as a necklace to symbolize her all-encompassing wisdom. Big Mama is a term of endearment for the matriarch of one's family. It's an acknowledgement of her wisdom, strength, authority, leadership skills, and ability to nurture multiple generations. Traditionally, all elders of both genders were to be respected for these qualities, but no one is bigger than Big Mama. As the caregiver of so many children and the transmitter of family history, love, and spirituality, she is the family's jewel and guiding light. Today, Big Mama's role in many families is not as prominent as it used to be before desegregation. As Black Americans increasingly interacted with ethnic groups that were more youth-oriented and patriarchal, the ethical, hierarchical, and conceptual foundation of the community started to shift. Also adding to this alteration of thought was the movement away from the church. It was there that the values of the forebears were reinforced, celebrated, and discovered. It says, often it was your Big Mama or someone else's that knew you well or you were kin to, who also held the prestigious title of Mother of the Church. Like the sun, the matriarch is warm, centralized force without whom growth would be impossible. When you receive Big Mama in a reading, you better believe that no matter how dark it is now, the light is coming. I said that. The light is coming and everything is going to be all right. Big Mama may also be speaking about being willing and able to share your glory, your light, and your power with others. This is not the time to lay low. This is your time to shine. If you receive Big Mama in a reading, consider the following. Do you fear being brilliant or successful? What is being highlighted? It's okay to be the center of attention sometimes. What does enlightenment mean to you? Take a personal day from work. Who are the important players in the situation? Am I exhibiting a positive attitude? Reputations matter. It's time to celebrate. Confidence is the best cosmetic. And what do you need to do to look and feel your best? All right. The next card that was pulled in your reading is the Big House, which is the Tower card in this deck. Can you see that? It says the Big House, which is the Tower. The Bible verse is Isaiah 34:11. It says, but the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl. So the Bible verse associated with this is Isaiah 34:11. It says, but the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl also and the raven shall dwell in it. And he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. I have no idea what that means, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not even going to try to get into that. So if anyone knows what that Bible verse means or has some context for that, can you please comment that below for your girl? The plant associated with this card is the oak. The image says a woman looking at a plantation home with a rose-colored lens is unable to see the suffering of the people plummeting from the window. It's likely that they don't even exist. There is no greater symbol of southern gentility than a majestic plantation home surrounded by lush Victorian gardens. Every year, millions of people from around the world flock to the South for plantation tours as their guides prattle on about lemonade, quaint customs, and corseted balls during what may be called simpler times. What they don't tell you is that most of those villages and fields were already there and thriving prior to the arrival of the foreigners. In other words, indigenous people were literally forced to work on their own land. So while this simpler time was certainly a reality for hundreds of prosperous slave owners, it was not for thousands of enslaved people. and indentured servants. From then, the big house was far from beautiful. So while this simpler time was certainly the reality for hundreds of prosperous slave owners, it was not for thousands of enslaved people and indentured servants. For them, the big house was far from beautiful and was instead an unpredictable house of horrors. It says when the big house comes up in a reading, it may be trying to prepare you for sudden change and the subsequent trauma that will come from it. There will be no opportunity to adjust. You will simply have to deal with things the best way you know how. If you are not a big embracer of change or you don't like surprises, life is about to suck big time, but it doesn't have to. The best thing to do when you get the news is to fight the urge to resist or deny whatever is occurring and try your best not to look at the bright side. If there is a bright side, or you're presently unable to see it, or if there is no bright side, or you're presently unable to see it, then seek support immediately. Reach out to family, friends, and neighbors, or call a hotline, talk to somebody. It's important that you have people around now that can keep you focused and grounded as the winds of change uproot all that seemed permanent. If you receive the big house in a reading, consider the following. Your plans may be disrupted in a way that you cannot imagine. Is this a breakdown or a breakthrough? In what way does this change hurt your ego? Things may actually turn out better in the end. What or who do you need to help you through this difficult time? There is a danger of going completely off the rails. Mind your temper. And just like that, it's over. Pick up the pieces and let it go. How could this experience inspire you to new heights? Why do you think that idea just came out of the blue? Perhaps it's not such a big surprise at all. You just weren't ready to see it. And the truth hurts. Interesting. Alrighty, the next card that you guys had was the, Daughter of Coins, also known as the Page of Pentacles. The plant is mulberry. It says the image, the Daughter of Coins, is serving plates of mac and cheese to her guests. Root workers always insisted that people eat at least a little something when they visited. It is believed that to have a hungry guest in the home is not only extremely rude, but also never fails to attract bad luck. Meaning, it says the Daughter of Coins reminds us not to overlook or underestimate the importance of what may be considered the mundane aspect of our lives. She is a reminder that it's often the little things that matter the most. On the positive side, she is a hard worker, committed, organized, honest, values tradition, and always wants to do the right thing. On the negative side, she is anal retentive, pessimistic, stubborn, joyless, compulsive, fearful, and a perfectionist. In a reading, if she doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then she represents those attributes. Alright? Okay, the next card that you guys had. You guys had the Eight of Sticks, which is the Eight of Wands. The plant associated with that is poplar. The image says a hoodoo woman is peeling wood from a tree struck by lightning. It's believed that lightning struck wood amplifies the potency of any working. Meaning, upright in the positive, rapid progress, forward movement, communications, finding a resolution, excitement, whirlwind romances, gaining momentum, receiving a critical message, eye-opening experiences, being in alignment, ending of delays, travel by air, and a successful journey. In the negative reverse position, a serious emergency, wasted energy, being too pushy, reckless behavior, transportation faltering, leaping before looking, unexpected breakups, extreme frustration, high pressure situations, heavy decisions, hasty decisions, ideas that are way out there, hysteria, and failure to recognize signs and warnings. Okay? Okay, let's move on. The next card that you had in your reading was the Three of Coins or the Three of Pentacles. The plant associated with that card is vetiver, V-E-T-I-V-E-R. The image says a very successful Afro-Romani root worker, shout out my Romani ancestors, Afro-Romani root worker awaits the arrival of a client. Thousands of gypsies were reclassified as colored and intermarried into Negro communities throughout the South. They were known to be especially skilled at breaking hexes and curses. This woman wears 2 necklaces to keep the blessings coming, a rosary made of black-eyed peas, and a wishbone. Meaning positive, employment, professional growth, internships, high standards, appreciation for a job well done, beneficial use of talents, exceeding expectations, promotions, detail-oriented people, upgrades, improvement in social status, being validated by others, degrees or certifications, collaborations, and goal-oriented people. In the reverse, all right, the negative aspects are incompetence, missed opportunities, know-it-alls, demotions, work-related problems, lack of skill, falling short, half-hearted efforts, and poor work ethic. No effort. Okay? Okay. Next, you guys had the Two of Coins. All right? There's that. The plant associated with this is seaweed. The image says a juggler rides a unicycle as a huge tidal wave rises in the background. He has drawn a circle of protection around himself in the sand in hopes that all will be well in the end. Meaning positive, upright, a well-balanced life, having your priorities in the right order, splitting responsibilities, reliable partnerships, multitasking, and adaptability. Negative, failure to prioritize, disorganization, living paycheck to paycheck, carrying someone else's weight, too many irons in the fire, credit card debt, and inflexible people. All right, Cancer babies, that was your free extended reading from the Hoodoo Tarot. If you did not catch the original one on SouthernStrega Tarot, please go check that out. All right, that link is in the description box below. And if you would like your own personalized Hoodoo Tarot reading or any other type of tarot reading from me, please contact me at ASouthernStrega@gmail.com. That's also in the little box to book a personal. Love y'all. Catch you next time. Bye, Cancers. All right, Scorpio, let's get to your extended portion of your reading today. Your first card. All right, you guys had the Big Queen, also known as the Empress. All right. The Bible verse for that is Isaiah 21:5. Prepare the table, watch in the watchtower, eat, drink, arise, ye princes, and anoint the shield. The plant is Jezebel root or Louisiana iris. The image says a carnival Indian queen smiles as she displays her Black Hawk bucket. Black Hawk, 1767 to 1838, was a leader of the Sauk and Fox tribe. He was a powerful warrior who was well known for his bravery in resisting colonial encroachment on his land and way of life. A spiritualist leader from the Midwest named Mother Leafy Anderson petitioned the spirit of Black Hawk for protection in her temple. Today, many spiritualists and root workers in Louisiana and beyond work with Black Hawk to ensure victory against their enemies. The tradition of carnival Indians in New Orleans, as we know them today, dates back to the early 18th century when enslaved Africans arrived in Louisiana. Many of them sought refuge among the indigenous peoples and were offered it. As a result, the cultures and bloodlines mixed, and their descendants still pay homage to the spirit of love, freedom, friendship, and resistance that brought their ancestors together. This thereby made the carnival Indian a symbol of boundless beauty and invincibility. Though most carnival Indians may be considered patriarchal to some due to the hypervisibility of men and boys, the Big Queen plays an essential role in their tribes. The archetype of the Big Queen is not only a vision of beauty with her ornately embellished garments, but she is also an artist, a teacher, a peacemaker, and a protector of this sacred tradition. The Big Queen is everything, meaning when the Big Queen appears in a reading, you're being asked to consider your roots in regard to Mother Wit. What would your ancestors say about whatever is going on in your life? What advice would they give you? How would they handle the situation? The wisdom of our mothers is a portal to the past. That doesn't mean that you must do things exactly as they did or perceive the world exactly as they perceived it, because that would be impossible. What it does mean is that they should be given an opportunity to speak to you via your consideration. This not only connects us with the women in our bloodline, but also with nature as a whole. The change of the seasons and the cycles of birth, death, and decay will always be, but it is the space between that a Big Queen inhabits. It is the spirit of continuity and the joy that a true comprehension brings that ensure nothing is ever truly lost, even if it can't be found for now. Therefore, there is always abundance, always beauty, and always a reason to celebrate. If you receive the Big Queen in a reading, consider the following. How do you give and receive pleasure? How do others and the world come into play? Do I accept abundance into my life? How? Eat, drink, and be merry. All that glitters isn't gold, but it sure is pretty. Do I accept compliments for my beauty and or style with grace? What aspect of your life do you nurture the most? What aspect could use more nurturing? Which family members or friends do I nurture the most? Am I neglecting anyone who deserves my attention? Do I purposely seek reasons to smile and laugh out loud every day? How often do you reflect on the beauty of being alive and being you? Am I still connected to nature and the earth, or have I lost my way? What do I do on a regular basis to help me restore my sense of balance in a hectic world? Go camping, take a walk in the park, and maybe buy a plant or three. Don't threaten me with a good time. I'll buy all the plants. Go camping, take a walk in the park, and maybe buy a plant or three. How does all the knowledge I've accumulated or spiritual work that I have done benefit my family and my community? What is my legacy? What does your mother or mother figure have to say about that? All right. So yeah, there's that. All right. The next card that we had in your spread today was the Garden card, which is the World card in this deck. Sorry for the glare. The prayer that goes with this one is Isaiah 58:11. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. The plants associated with that are cosmos. I have some of those growing in my backyard. It's a wildflower. The image, it says, a woman is happily watering her garden. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, most Americans were farmers by trade. It was hard work, but people took great pride in knowing that the produce that fed and cured their families was grown by their own hands. Y'all, I have to pause because I literally just did this. It was the most gratifying experience ever. I have killed every plant like in the most comical way that has ever come into my house or my possession in like a swift and comical fashion. Since I moved to my new house down in the low country here, I started trying to be like a gardener and a farmer, and I grew my own food. Like, I'm so excited for myself. I grew a ton of collard greens, like a ton, and I harvested them all the other day for Easter, and I made the most delicious batch of like southern collard greens with pot liquor, all that good stuff. And I'm telling you, the fact that I grew those things from a seed to a giant plant and then was able to cook them and eat them and feed my family with them was one of the most gratifying experiences I've ever had. So there's that. I don't know, I just thought I'd share that with you. Anyways, it says, yes, the produce that fed and cured their families was grown by their own hands. For people with more resources, gardening eventually became a relaxing leisure activity that allowed them to connect with nature or express themselves creatively. Either way, whether for utilitarian or recreational purposes, the rule for a successful harvest doesn't change, which is this: mind your crops. Meaning, when the garden appears in a reading, it's letting you know that you've successfully taken care of business and it's time to reap all the goodness that you've sown. Count your blessings. If your query relates to gossip or rumors, the garden could be trying to tell you to mind your own business. It's reminding you of how much better the world would be if everyone focused on their own affairs. Tend to your own garden. It also says, instead of being concerned about what others are doing and how they're doing it, tend to your own affairs. If you receive the garden in a reading, consider the following. In what ways do you heal the world? In what ways do you heal the world? Seriously consider the benefits of working there or joining that club, etc. The solution has arrived. There is nothing more to seek. What makes you feel safe, grounded, and whole? Don't wait for anyone else to have a pleasurable experience. Stop and smell the roses. Learn the art of being content. You made it, now enjoy it. All right? You guys also had the Ancestors card, which is the Death card. The Bible verse is Proverbs 30:17. It says, the eye that mocketh at his father and despiseth to obey his mother, the ravens of the valley shall pick it out, and the young eagles shall eat it. The plant is flower of stone. The image says a happy baby is lying in a crib. Though her form is young, there is part of her that is very old. The half of her face that is skeletal reflects this eternal connection with the ancestors. Ancestor veneration is one of the least discussed but most ubiquitous features of human life since time immemorial. Though the aesthetics of ancestral veneration vary depending on the culture, there are very few people who feel comfortable with their dead just being dead. Instead, humans have created hundreds of other dimensions for their souls to inhabit, where they may be or where they may not be accessible to the living. In Hoodoo, we may have access to any spirit of the dead if the deceased is willing and we are skilled enough to make and maintain contact. It was quite common in both indigenous American and African cultures to consult the ancestors via various methods of divination, channeling, or meditation. For those in the community who had the skill and the authority to do so, the death of a family member was no excuse to begin excluding them from the affairs of the nation, rites, and rituals, not from accepting their input regarding the major life nor from accepting their input regarding the major life decisions of their living relatives. In the traditional mind, neither time nor space could separate us from our kin. Ancestral veneration, however, is much deeper than lighting candles, attending special events, or asking questions now and then. Ancestral veneration, in its most traditional sense, is supposed to inform our behavior on a daily and continual basis. It's about knowing, honoring, and defending one's bloodline. It's about personifying the most esteemed values of your forefathers and foremothers and doing one's best to add on positively to your family's legacy. It's about reflecting on and identifying how our parents' grandparents' actions affected our lives and considering how our decisions could affect our great-grandchildren tomorrow. Death is not a subject most Westerners or Western-educated people like to discuss. It's an event that will happen to each and every one of us, yet it is considered morbid, weird, or taboo to spend any time contemplating it. It can be spring, summer, or fall forever. It cannot be spring, summer, or fall forever. Eventually, the end must come to make way for something new. Death is just the beginning of that something. So when the Ancestors card turns up in a reading, you are being reminded that the only thing that is truly permanent is impermanence. It's okay to be sad, it's okay to mourn, but you must let it go. Life goes on. If you receive the Ancestors in a reading, consider the following. Every end is also a new beginning. The only thing that is constant is change. Put the past behind you and start over. Learn how to embrace the unknown. Do you know who your ancestors are? What does your lineage and ancestral heritage mean to you? In what ways are you and your ancestors the same, and how are you different? Do you feel connected to your ancestors? Why or why not? Do you communicate with and or venerate your ancestors? If not, why not? If so, how? Do genealogy research or create a family tree. Okay? Mother of Knives. The Mother of Knives. This is the Queen of Swords in traditional tarot. The plant associated with this card is Rue, R-U-E. The image, it says, the Mother of Knives is depicted here as a member of two prestigious secret societies, the Grand United Order of Oddfellows and the Order of the Eastern Star. In addition to the church, mutual aid, secret societies, and fraternal and sororal organizations were the backbone of Black American communities between the 18th and 20th centuries. Unlike women of other races, Black women were welcome to participate and were respected as powerful leaders and influencers of many of these organizations. Here, the Mother of Knives is a powerful bibliomancer who uses the Bible as a guide. The Mother of Knives is the archetype of the warrior queen. On the positive side, she is perceptive, analytical, forthright, witty, independent, resilient, highly intelligent, deep, and sets clear boundaries. On the negative side, she is a perfectionist, cold-hearted, aggressive, and bitchy. In her reading, if she doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then she represents those attributes. All right, so there's that. You guys also had the Eight of Knives, Eight of Swords in the regular tarot. The plant is star anise. The image says a man stands in the middle of the crossroads with two knives stuck in the ground at the entrance of each pathway. crossroads are considered powerful places where the physical and spiritual worlds meet. Meaning, positive, upright, believing in yourself again, empowered thinking, the removal of obstacles, escape from bondage, acquittal, being productive, a much needed release, ceasing to be your own worst enemy, liberating oneself from a victim mentality, renewed hope, and finding a way out of a predicament. Negative is feeling oppressed, self-hate, feeling unable to move, problems communicating with others, being bound by circumstances, feeling like others are putting you in a box, fear of the unknown, self-limiting beliefs, suppressed history, holding yourself back, people with negative vibes, and masochists. All right. You guys also had the 6 of Sticks, which is the 6 of Wands. The plant is goat's rue. The image says Nat Love, 1854 to 1921, one of the greatest cowboys of all time, is seen riding into town as the people cheer. According to Love's autobiography, he was badly wounded when he was taken captive by Pima Indians who eventually nursed him back to health using herbs. The Pimas adopted him as a member of their tribe, and he escaped captivity on a horse that he named Yellow Dog Chief. The symbol on Yellow Dog Chief depicted here is called I-Etoni and represents the Pima Indians, meaning positive, upright, victory, getting promoted, overcoming hardship, receiving compliments, great news, recognition, receiving compliments, great news, recognition, having high self-esteem, becoming a VIP, feeling encouraged, being sought out for your expertise, and being a recognized hero. Negative in the reverse, flatterers, frenemies, being pompous, condescending comments, a fall from grace, loss of respect, excessive pride, groupies, needing constant validation from others, humiliating defeat, people who are desperate for attention, and epic fails. All right? You guys also had the 6 of Knives, which is the 6 of Swords in the regular tarot. The plant for that is John the Conqueror root. The image says, according to the short version of the legend, John the Conqueror was an African prince who was captured and enslaved in America. The prince managed to escape and sailed back to Africa, leaving his power behind in the form of John the Conqueror root. This is just a legend, though. John the Conqueror root is actually a native plant of North America, meaning positive, upright, leaving your troubles behind, moving on, going with the flow, accepting change, a new attitude, travel, distance learning, letting go of people, beliefs, and situations that you've outgrown, travelers, rites of passage, a much needed change in atmosphere and relief. The negative reverse meaning is resistance to change, lethargy, people with a lot of baggage, procrastinators, being stuck in negative thought patterns, feeling melancholy, more troubles ahead, escapism, slow progress, inability to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and laziness. All right? All right, Scorpio, that was the extended version of your Hoodoo Tarot reading from today. If you guys would like to book a personal or check out the original version of this reading where I did the intuitive take, please check out the description box below where you can find all the information on how to do all those things. Love you, Scorpio. Talk to you later, mommy's favorites. Bye. All right, Pisces, let's get into your extended reading here. You guys had, let's see. You guys had Railroad Bill, which is also known as the Chariot card. It says Psalm 108:13, with God we shall do valiantly. It is he who will tread down on our foes. The plant is maca. The image, Railroad Bill, is waving at the people cheering for him in the distance. Railroad Bill, birth date unknown, died in 1896, was a laborer with no clear past, as his name, place of birth, and many other details about his life remain a mystery. What we do know is that the authorities claimed that he was a man named Morris Slater, and we know the hell he put them through. It all started in 1894 while Bill was employed as the turpentine worker in Bluff Springs, Florida, when after an altercation, he exchanged gunshots with a deputy. The cause of the row has been lost to time, but it was from that day on that he became an outlaw. Bill committed train robberies and engaged in fatal gunfights with lawmen and bounty hunters who traveled from all over the country to collect the substantial bounty on his head. Bill usually rode along the Louisville and Nashville Railroad in southern Alabama. Naturally, the daily reports of a Negro desperado gunning down white men sold a lot of newspapers, and it didn't take long before a folk hero akin to Robin Hood was born. According to members of the black community at the time, Bill used his spiritual powers as a conjure man to avoid capture by transforming himself into a fox to throw dogs off of his trail. He became the personification of the clever trickster who appears in both indigenous American and African folklore, so much so that his legend continued to grow well into the 20th century. There are many songs about Railroad Bill by artists such as Riley Puckett, Vera Ward Hall, Gid Tanner, Thomas Dorsey, William Bennett, Jack Elliott, Bill Williams, Joan Baez, and others. In 1981, Bill was resurrected and cheered by the working class once again when the musical play Railroad Bill was produced by New York City's Labor Theater, one that was founded specifically to attract proletariats. The meaning of this card, it says, when Railroad Bill turns up, you are being encouraged to increase your efforts to ensure victory. It's a reminder of the characteristics that are required to win: confidence, determination, discipline, persistence, and assertiveness. Now is the time to adopt a take no prisoners attitude toward anybody or anything that attempts to get in your way. If you are not aggressive or ambitious by nature, then this card is warning you that you must toughen up or risk the loss of what you've worked so hard for. If you receive Railroad Bill in a reading, consider the following. If you don't plan to win the game, then why are you even playing? Success is the best revenge. Get rid of any people or situations that are distracting you from your mission now. Only self-confidence and a strong will to survive will get you through this. It's my way or the highway. What competition? Know thyself to propel thyself. It's called self-esteem for a reason. Stop waiting for others to cheer you on. Domination happens. I'm allergic to humble pie, so you can have it. What is the victorious outcome that you seek? Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, it's an ego thing. I ain't sorry, and you can do it, but will you? Okay? Also had the Ancestors card, which is the Death card. The Bible verse is Proverbs 30:17. It says, the eye that mocketh at his father and despiseth to obey his mother, the ravens of the valley shall pick it out, and the young eagles shall eat it. The plant is flower of stone. The image says a happy baby is lying in a crib. Though her form is young, there is part of her that is very old. The half of her face that is skeletal reflects this eternal connection with the ancestors. Ancestor veneration is one of the least discussed but most ubiquitous features of human life since time immemorial. Though the aesthetics of ancestral veneration vary depending on the culture, there are very few people who feel comfortable with their dead just being dead. Instead, humans have created hundreds of other dimensions for their souls to inhabit, where they may be or where they may not be accessible to the living. In Hoodoo, we may have access to any spirit of the dead if the deceased is willing and we are skilled enough to make and maintain contact. It was quite common in both indigenous American and African cultures to consult the ancestors via various methods of divination, channeling, or meditation. For those in the community who had the skill and the authority to do so, the death of a family member was no excuse to begin excluding them from the affairs of the nation, rites, and rituals, not from accepting their input regarding the major life nor from accepting their input regarding the major life decisions of their living relatives. In the traditional mind, neither time nor space could separate us from our kin. Ancestral veneration, however, is much deeper than lighting candles, attending special events, or asking questions now and then. Ancestral veneration, in its most traditional sense, is supposed to inform our behavior on a daily and continual basis. It's about knowing, honoring, and defending one's bloodline. It's about personifying the most esteemed values of your forefathers and foremothers and doing one's best to add on positively to your family's legacy. It's about reflecting on and identifying how our parents' grandparents' actions affected our lives and considering how our decisions could affect our great-grandchildren tomorrow. Death is not a subject most Westerners or Western-educated people like to discuss. It's an event that will happen to each and every one of us, yet it is considered morbid, weird, or taboo to spend any time contemplating it. It can be spring, summer, or fall forever. Oh, it cannot be spring, summer, or fall forever. Eventually, the end must come to make way for something new. Death is just the beginning of that something. So when the ancestors card turns up in a reading, you are being reminded that the only thing that is truly permanent is impermanence. It's okay to be sad, it's okay to mourn, but you must let it go. Life goes on. If you receive the ancestors in a reading, consider the following. Every end is also a new beginning. The only thing that is constant is change. Put the past behind you and start over. Learn how to embrace the unknown. Do you know who your ancestors are? What does your lineage and ancestral heritage mean to you? In what ways are you and your ancestors the same, and how are you different? Do you feel connected to your ancestors? Why or why not? Do you communicate with and or venerate your ancestors? If not, why not? If so, how? Do genealogy research or create a family tree. Okay? Alright, you guys have Father Sims, also known as the Temperance card, as the Bible verse is Job 38:36. Who gives the ibis wisdom or gives the rooster understanding? Very vague. The plant is pea vine. The image says, Father Sims is dressed in the purple satin robe in which he liked to work. The rooster represents him, and the two streams of water represent his baptism as a two-headed doctor, a hoodoo term that does good and bad work. Father George Sims, born Joe Watson and nicknamed the Frizzly Rooster, was a preacher and root worker from New Orleans. They called him the Frizzly Rooster because many people kept at least one chicken in the backyard for the sole purpose of scratching up any roots that may have been placed on them by an enemy. He had a reputation for being able to effectively place or lift curses and read anyone. Father Sims was a bit eccentric and was comfortable doing good or bad workings. He gave sermons at Myrtle Reef Hall, and that's where his most famous student, Zora Neale Hurston, made his acquaintance. After weeks of performing superficial tasks without anything being explained to her, she was initiated by Father Sims, given the name the Boss of Candles, and finally taught the deeper mysteries. It is a common misconception that root worker is never an initiatic system, because while this is the case for many, initiations are not unheard of. It says when Father Sims comes up in a reading, it's asking you to review your position regarding your inquiry. If you've taken an extreme or one-sided position, now is the time to consider things from a more balanced perspective. Things do not have to be black and white, so don't force it to be. If you have been asked to compromise or cooperate, but you feel resistant to the idea, this card is a good sign that you have not considered all of the aspects of the situation. If you've been asked to give someone an answer, don't respond until you feel more centered. To do otherwise may cause deep regret and feelings to be hurt unnecessarily. Try to be fair. If you receive Father Sims in a reading, consider the following. What would be gained by compromising? Is it worth more than the perceived loss? Are you being fair? Sometimes less is more. Extremists never think that they're extreme. Peace is priceless. Focus on healing and recovery. An alliance is not such a bad idea. What am I bringing to the potluck dinner? Perhaps add something else to the mix. And other races, religions, and ethnic groups exist. Maybe it's time to learn more about other people. Alright? Alright. The next card. The next card that you guys had was Mother of Knives. The Mother of Knives. This is the Queen of Swords in traditional tarot. The plant associated with this card is Rue, R-U-E. The image, it says, the Mother of Knives is depicted here as a member of two prestigious secret societies, the Grand United Order of Oddfellows and the Order of the Eastern Star. In addition to the church, mutual aid, secret societies, and fraternal and sororal organizations were the backbone of Black American communities between the 18th and 20th centuries. Unlike women of other races, Black women were welcome to participate and were respected as powerful leaders and influencers of many of these organizations. Here, the Mother of Knives is a powerful bibliomancer who uses the Bible as a guide. The Mother of Knives is the archetype of the warrior queen. On the positive side, she is perceptive, analytical, forthright, Witty, independent, resilient, highly intelligent, deep, and sets clear boundaries. On the negative side, she's a perfectionist, cold-hearted, aggressive, and bitchy. In her reading, if she doesn't represent a literal person with these qualities, then she represents those attributes. All right, so there's that. The Three of Sticks. The plant for the Three of Sticks is kudzu, which we have so much here in Georgia. The image says a root worker is standing at the peak of Mount Cheha, the highest natural point in Alabama. He wears a cape of kudzu leaves for protection against any malefic spirits as he contemplates. The meaning: positive, upright, improved finances, travel, exploration, becoming a leader, seeing the big picture, embarking on a quest, expansion, feeling free and uninhibited, visionary power moves, reaping the reward for hard work, and receiving potentially game-changing advice. Negative reversed, it says nothing working out as planned, unforeseen obstacles, hidden adversaries, obsession with the past failures, short-term thinking, making the wrong moves, lack of real effort, not being taken seriously, and lack of imagination and foresight. All right, and you guys also had the Four of Sticks. Four of Wands. The plant for that is Angelica. The image says a happy couple is planting their baby's placenta with angelica flowers beneath a lush crepe myrtle tree in the hopes of attracting good fortune to the child. I have a crepe myrtle tree right in my front yard. Positive, a cause for celebration, a special event, relaxation, laying down roots, feeling blessed, harmonious interactions, taking things to the next level, letting your hair down, prosperity, rites of passage, family reunions, freedom, security, teamwork, making the dream work, something wonderful to look forward to, feeling good about yourself, and dreams coming true. The negative aspect of this card is conflict, minor delays, family dysfunction, unconstructive criticism, canceled plans, instability, division in the community, and feeling unwelcome. All right? Okay, the next card that you guys got was the Five of Knives. Also the Five of Swords in the regular tarot. Plant associated with that is corn silk. The image says a woman shows off a silver coin hidden beneath her tongue. This is called putting a bit in your mouth. It was believed by some root workers that if you had no choice but to lie in court, you could be freed of responsibility for lying after swearing on the Bible. Meaning: upright and positive, making amends, conflict resolve, vindication, overcoming challenges, vengeance, righteous fury, treachery exposed, being prepared for battle, the end of attacks, fighting back, confronting evil, and compromise. Negative: manipulation, revenge, betrayal, exploitation. This is all in the reverse, by the way. One-upmanship, losing face, defeat, intrigue, rudeness, deceit, troublemakers, conflict, surrender, letting the ends justify the means, illegal gains, liars, humiliation, self-sabotage, negative energy, degradation, malicious rumors, haters, possessiveness, hidden enemies, hurt feelings, intimidation, frenemies, and ignoring warnings. All right? All right, Pisces, that was your extended reading from the Hoodoo Tarot today. Thank you so much for tuning in to your little bonus over here. And if you missed the original one, that link is below for you, along with my email address, asouthernsstrega@gmail.com. If you would like to book me for a personal reading, go ahead and hit me up there. All right, Pisces, I love you guys, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.